Excellent. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Live from VentureX Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
All right. Well, happy back to the work week. Is that a thing? Chambrielle's like shaking her head going, there's no such thing as happy back to the work week. Well, maybe there is, especially if you're saving lives and taking care of people like our guest today and every Monday. First thing on our show is Dr. Clothier. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. And I love my job. You're right.
There you go. I know.
Plus, there's no way away from it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's always medical
you gotta
talk
go
where
anyways.
I am. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it's great to see you.
Blessed.
And yeah, you are very blessed, and we are very blessed to have you as part of our show for all these years. And we really appreciate all the good information you bring to us. And so a lot of times we get proactive questions. So after Monday's show, a number of people pinged us and said, is the monkeypox thing just a one isolated one case situation? Can you have Dr. Clothier say something about it next week? So I thought, obviously we always like to bring follow-up questions from the crew to you. So was that an isolated incident? Is that something that people need to be worried about?
Right. The fair answer is probably yes and no, in that it was probably isolated and probably not in terms of worry. So, this is an interesting case study, though, because the pox virus family includes smallpox, the pox family virus.
Right.
I'm not sure what. The pox family virus, pox viridae.
I was like, that's a new thing. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about a donor to my college back years ago. But anyway, the pox family, the pox viridae, includes smallpox and monkeypox. And monkeypox, as we alluded to last week, very cool sounding. It's kind of an interesting term. It's almost like Lyme disease as opposed to tick-borne illness. It's just got a little bit of a nice little hook to it. So, but it is a virus that was first found in labs in monkeys back in about the 50s and 60s, and is mostly found in rainforests of Africa. And there was a guy that came over from Africa, entered into the Atlanta airport and then the Dallas Love Field airport, and was found to be sick. And so he was immediately isolated, and he apparently, by all reports, has monkeypox. So this will be the first case to hit North America since 2003. There were 47 cases in the general Midwest back in 2003 that were also related to travel. And interestingly, I didn't know this exists, but there apparently are people that have prairie dogs as pets. I'm kind of thinking that's not much of a pet. Yeah, I'd go with the dog. Skip the prairie.
Yeah, I was going to say dogs, cats, bearded dragons, fish. Yeah. I've never heard of a prairie dog as a pet.
Bearded dragons are pretty boring too. But yeah, I had never heard of that either. And maybe the wave ended because 47 people got sick with monkeypox that have been apparently carried with a shipment of these traveling prairie dogs for pets. And so it hit Ohio, kind of that general, Midwest, Ohio, Michigan area, and was isolated to 47 people, and there were no deaths. In Africa, there's a 10% death rate. And so now we have this one guy in Dallas. He's in isolation. Now, here's the case report.
And is he still in isolation, Dr. Clothier? It's, okay, so it's not one of those things like, 10 to 14 days and then you're out. He'll be in isolation for longer than that, or?
No, it'll be 14 days plus scabbing over of any lesions, but we're within that 14.
Okay.
This would probably be, you could probably have him on the show later today. He may get out today. But
well, if you have a way to get in touch with him, okay.
I think his identity will be very secret. Here's the interesting case report side of this, though. So the reason I would say don't worry is that this is one case. You may remember a few years ago we had a death from Ebola.
Yes.
And people got kind of panicky, and they thought, what happens if this breaks out? And it'd be horrible. We would have a lot of deaths. We'd have a lot of illness. Our society would kind of shut down because there'd be an infectious disease that's spreading around that needs to be taken seriously. That in the case of Ebola, there's no vaccine for. There is no vaccine for monkeypox because it's a relatively rare, isolated illness. It hasn't really hit the world. However, its cousin, smallpox, was eradicated in 1980 because there was a vaccine. And I just want to point that out, that there was a worldwide disease phenomenon that was very severe. The medical scientists developed a vaccine, and it was eradicated. And that wasn't considered in any way, at least today, I don't think people are talking back to the politics of that or man, I wish they hadn't killed out smallpox because it was all about
We didn't have
politics.
social media back then, though.
And I think there's a lesson.
We didn't have social media
and
back
that's
then.
a huge difference.
Big old difference.
The other case, interesting things about this case I find are manyfold, really. One is this guy was identified on a flight, and so there were other people, but it is an airborne virus, and people were wearing masks on the flight. And no one else on the flight has developed symptoms of the illness.
Okay.
And I think that is rather telling. That's a mask that they had on the flight that covers the face, and it keeps people from spreading droplets. A second feature is the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, which is beat up every day now, identified this individual, put him in isolation, and stopped the outbreak at one person.
Okay.
1% in the Western Hemisphere of the Earth. And I think it's fascinating to me that the CDC does work to control disease. Their name is Centers for Disease Control. And I think it should be noted that they have controlled that disease. And you're right about this being the social media age, obviously. I don't know that anybody would know there was a case of monkeypox in Dallas if it weren't for, news and social media, because they contained it so quickly that it doesn't need to be worried about. Now, again, if this had some fancy, pox viridae name, I don't know that it'd be as talked about as monkeypox. I think that is a good headliner for news programs and things like that. But that, the key is the Centers for Disease Control identified a bad organism, put the person in isolation. The spread was stopped by masking because it's airborne. And hopefully everyone in the Western Hemisphere has no more worry about that other than trying to remember maybe in a few months how long ago that was that a guy showed up with monkeypox.
Right.
So I think there are lessons in that about COVID. I think COVID is a non-political virus by all I can tell. And I think we need to realize that spreading the virus, and it is on the uptick again. There are many more cases than there were just 3 weeks ago. It's up more than 100% in case reports in terms of, it has more than doubled in the last 3 weeks. And, people get very angry about the idea of stopping spread because they perceive that that's a governmental thing. But it is also a constitutional right of the government to protect us from our enemies. And I think our enemy in this case is the virus. And I think we got to get realistic about that. Yeah, I had a patient this past week that told me he agreed with the idea of the vaccine and thought it was good science, but he's not going to get it because Biden made it and wants him to have it. And I thought, President Trump was the one who increased the supply of syringes and needles and had the FDA approve the Pfizer vaccine on December 14th of 2020, and that was during the presidency of President Trump.
Right.
Inauguration day was January 20th, of 21. So I pointed that out, and he said, no, it was Biden, and I'm not getting the shot. And I think somehow we've got to get more
I'm
practical.
conservative. You're conservative. I mean, obviously, I voted for President Trump. Was a huge supporter of his. That's one of those things. Biden wasn't even in office at the time. I
Right.
think everybody gets swept into the conspiracy theories, and my big thing is when you're talking about freedoms, and you and I have talked about this before. This is where, okay, the government's, I don't want them to come knocking on our doors saying you need to be vaccinated. Just everybody proceed. I think
Right.
we the people can be smart about this and fight it. Like you said, it's an enemy that's out there. We can fight it without the government having to step in and tell us what to do. I think people are scared about another shutdown. So then let's do what we need to do to make sure that doesn't happen.
Right. So get the vaccines. Good medical science. Is it perfect? No. But I would suggest there's nothing perfect on this earth. You're not going to have 100% anything. In fact, to me, one of the most shocking things in medical history is that smallpox was stopped by the vaccine, because that required basically 100% vaccine rate. And that will not happen again. We have enough people that just won't. But if you don't want to get the vaccine, I would suggest get a will and discuss with your family what you plan to do, what they should plan to do when you're on the ventilator, because I think it is a very serious virus. The Delta variant is very contagious. It doesn't necessarily make people sicker than the prior variants, but it does seem to be more contagious. And those people who have had the vaccine are not the ones ending up in the hospital and on the ventilator at this point. They may get the virus, but they are not nearly as sick. And I think everyone who has been obstinate about the vaccine just needs to rethink that and realize that it is a serious virus. And I also have a little news on that, is it is a worldwide virus. It's not just in the United States. It's not confined to our borders. And I think that we need to realize that this is a worldwide, apolitical, non-political virus.
And well, and again, that's one of those things. You see how different parts of the world are handling it. And again, I think, Americans, I think, we're the greatest on God's green earth. So be smart about it. Do what you have to do. A lot of people do not want to get the vaccine. Then that's your choice. Then proceed accordingly, kind of a thing. So if if you've got somebody who's ill in your home, or you've got a child or somebody or yourself with a compromised immune system, that's one of those things. And again, another reason to go and get back to your doctor. Talk with your doctor about what are the health risks versus the health benefits. You're hearing of people not going in to see their doctor often enough. I'm overdue for my annual blood test, which I'm going, hopefully, note to self, make doctor's appointment today. A lot of people are overdue for different exams. I've even heard, and this may be something for us to talk about at a future show, the rise of type 2 diabetes and obesity with kids, because a lot of kids the parents skipped the well visit for their kid, which I can't imagine, but they did. And so you've got, where maybe a kid would have been pre-diabetic and they could have been put on a more, healthy lifestyle pattern, since the parents weren't able to get them in because of the pandemic, or they were afraid to take them to the doctor, or whatever the case may be. You've got some real serious health issues besides COVID that I think you're going to see us dealing with. Alcoholism's on the rise. Mental health issues are on the rise. There's all these things. So I think the fallout from COVID, second to getting the disease itself, is all of the fallout that comes from it health-wise.
Yes, we often talk in medicine about morbidity and mortality. And the mortality, of course, is the death rate. The morbidity is all the bad problems that happen because of a disease state. And I think that, the multiple domino effect that you're talking about is huge. And, 95% of people I see now have gained weight during COVID restrictions, pandemic restrictions, because they've just fallen into bad habits. And it's amazing to me how many people say, I can't lose weight because I can't exercise. And I'm like, get out and walk. You can go
walk around the
outside.
block.
That's
Yeah.
actually one of those things. Yeah. I go for a walk every day. I tell you, I hear all the time, it's too hot in the summer. Well, I went out this morning at 5:30 and it was 76 degrees.
Right.
That's actually not bad. It was not too hot and I did survive it. And,
you live to tell the story and come on the show.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you even talked about.
Actually,
Real quick, because I want to brag on you because you have, ever since you've been on our show, you've talked about just walking. It's free. You can do it anywhere. I mean, you've talked about going into malls before they open when it's raining. There's all kinds of. There's always a workaround for the walking, and it doesn't cost anything. And you're right. So I know everybody's like, well, I don't feel comfortable going to my gym, or I didn't want to wear a mask when I went back to my gym, and I get it, but get out. Just get outside, walk out your front door and walk.
Absolutely. And there are all kinds of ways to do a workaround. There actually are walking videos on like Amazon, Netflix that you can walk inside in place, or even just a few feet if you have the rare, like, let's say we had a winter storm or something and you needed to have an option. Where I work, there's a parking garage. There's actually security and there's plenty of room to walk, and you can walk in, something like that. If it's raining outside, there's just all kinds of options. Don't let that stop you. And so I always hear that euphemism of I've got to get back in the gym, and they closed the gym, so boy, I can't do anything but eat. And that is not true. You just have to find the way to do things in a reasonable way. And I think that's very smart. So speaking of physical activity, I do think we ought to talk about USA basketball.
Excellent transition.
And what's going on there? We lost that game yesterday to France that never, frankly, should have been lost. And, I think France has been a fair ally through the years. It's nothing personal against them. It's just that we have what should be a very good basketball team. And, I watched it. I actually, of course, because of the time difference, I knew the outcome, and I watched it to see what was going on because I wondered, how could we manage to lose this game? And, it's kind of shocking, and I think it has lessons for us in life. One is, I think the majority of the players were going through the motions. There was no excitement. The only thing I can think about on that is, they have decided it's not in any way a privilege to represent America. And, when I see the French player and when I hear about Luka's performance for Slovenia, they are excited for their country. They're excited to represent their country. And these guys are, lackadaisical multimillionaires made rich from our country, but they don't want to, at least politically, they don't want to say they're representing America as a pride issue. In fact, they are more likely to say they are somewhat embarrassed to be representing America. And, that is just so messed up on so many levels.
It is.
And I
It's
think
horrible.
they frankly didn't care. They didn't want to win for the nation.
No.
And they don't really, they're not getting paid extra. They just have their millions already. So, why win, frankly? And that kind of showed. There was about a 2-minute time in the third quarter where we played a little defense, and it was impressive. We stopped the French team 3 or 4 times down the court, and then we quit again. And, it's just, I think it's rather sad, honestly. And then another thing, just speaking about offense and defense, is the offense we run is the same as all NBA offenses now,
Right.
which is go down, circle the 3-point line, look for the guy in the corner only. And that's it. That's what we do. And the other teams actually are running offensive plays. The teams from other nations, they have like pick and roll. They have a cut. They have a pass inside. They drive. It's an extremely more complicated game the way it should be. The finesse is there. We're looking for the corner shot where the guy just kind of stands there until the ball comes to him and he shoots. And, we didn't shoot. Well, again, I don't think we necessarily cared that much. And then, once the French team figured out that was the pass, they go over and pick off the pass going down the sideline and, create a scoring opportunity for themselves. So I think lackadaisical approach is something you don't want for anything. You don't want that for your job. You don't want that for your family. you don't want that for, just life situations. And I think there's so much to be said for having goals. And one of them, at least with the Olympics, should be to support your country.
Amen.
And patriotism. And I think that's the lost art at the moment. So I think we need to get that refocus going. Maybe this will be a little bit of a wake-up call, because ultimately it should be embarrassing to lose the first game in 17 years in the Olympics. And, I hope those guys will pay attention to that. I didn't see them looking upset after the loss. They walked off the court like, oh, let's go, find something else to do now. And
it was really
the body language was significant.
Yeah, the body language was significant. I'm really glad you brought that up, and I'm glad we got a chance to talk about this. Obviously, you're a big supporter of basketball. You've been a basketball fan your whole life. You've coached, many of your kids' teams. So you're very active. It's a sport that, like, I want this to be like, oh gosh, the team from, I'm trying to think which year it was, the Dream Team. You know which one I'm talking about in the Olympics. And all of those players, yes, thank you. That everybody, they wanted to be there to cheer America on, to say we're number one. They wanted to be there to, play for their country, and I felt like this was just such a lackluster, and you could tell in their body language. It was kind of like, it was almost like it was kind of like a burden, or it was kind of they were being put out by playing and representing Team USA. And so I don't get it. If you don't want that, if you don't want the honor and the glory of being a patriot and doing what you love to do, representing the country that allows you to do that, I mean, these people make millions upon millions of dollars to shoot a basketball through a hoop. So if you don't dig that, then step aside. Step aside and let somebody else in. Yeah, it's just craziness. Yeah.
Well, it's just sad. I think it's a sad loss for America. It's some would interpret it as the end of what has been a great nation and a great patriotism. Obviously, those things kind of bug me, because I want my kids to be able to grow up in a country with freedom and excitement for the country. And when your sort of public approach is, oh, we are so ashamed to be Americans from your government, I think it's a problem.
Yeah,
and I think that ultimately has to be corrected, and that's why I want conservatives to live through COVID. Yeah. And I think we need that.
You've just been the segue king today.
We don't need. That's right. So
I love it. Well,
it's just important.
Well, it is. And, and your health is important. So get in there and, go get a checkup, talk to your doctor. If you've got concerns, questions about the vaccine, talk to your doctor about it. And how can people get in touch with your office?
We're at FHCATX.com, which I know is a handful, but it's Family Healthcare Associates Texas, essentially, FHCATX.com. Or my office at 214-575-3422. And, if we're searchable, we have look us up. And we have 11 offices through the Metroplex. My partners would be very happy to see people and help serve the community.
We love it. Well, we just appreciate you and your contribution to the show. And yeah, bummer about the USA men's basketball team. We'll see what happens. But I don't see any pep in their steps. So we shall see.
Nope.
But thanks so much, Dr. Clothier. Have a blessed week.
Very good. Thank you. You too.
Thanks. And I know JP and I are going to talk a little more Olympics. But did you get a haircut, or did you style it?
I did.
Both. It looks nice. Oh, you got a haircut last week. He is. I think I can.
Am I hot?
Well, yes, you are.
That was really what that question was.
Yes, you are. You're hot. You're hot as heck.
Ooh, hot as heck.
What? What is this?
Is that the same as hot as HE hockey sticks?
Oh, see, and you did hockey sticks like I like.
See,
I see what you did.
go.
Well, before we talk a little Olympics and we talk some gymnastics, I wanted to give a shout out to some members of the crew who had significant life happenings. And one, Missy, Melissa Yance Laurent, she had a very successful surgery on Thursday. Those of you, I know there's been some people who have been praying for her who are members of the crew. She goes back for follow-up today, so hopefully we'll find out today if it spread to the lymph nodes. The doctor said when I saw her after surgery that it looked like the lymph nodes were clean, and she believes the breast cancer was contained, and so hopefully that means no more treatment. So Melissa, we're still praying for you, and she still has a GoFundMe active account because she did, as a result of being sick from her job, lose her job. So definitely want to help her out, especially pray for her. And then our friend Desiree Brown was named this is a big old award, was named Young Republican National Woman of the Year. So I mean, that's
pandemic
just
year.
Yeah.
I wonder if they put an asterisk in the book like that's more important. Because you did it during a pandemic year.
Because you did it during a tougher year. Well, heck yeah, it was harder. A little fact, she received the award 20 years and 1 month to the day after I received it. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. I received it back in
20 years and 1 month. That's a little awkward.
Well, no, it's not, because it was I received it in June. She did it in July.
Just say 20. It's an annual award, right?
No, it's every other year.
Okay, so it's a biannual award.
Yeah.
So just say,
Okay, I like to be
20
exact.
years.
I like to be exact.
Yeah,
Anyways, I thought that was kind of
awkward.
How about, hey, Kathy, that's cool.
No, Kathy, that's uncool.
So anyway, so very excited for you, Desiree. Congratulations. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Grab Grogu. Grogu's the tell-all on that.
Oh, Grogu's going to be
20
happy.
20 years in a month?
No.
Grogu, let's hear you.
No, let's just talk about Desiree.
Wait a minute.
He said, that's okay.
Yes,
this is our version of the Magic 8 Ball.
He's a little warm on that deal.
Anyways, I didn't want to make it about me. I just wanted to throw that in as a side note. So, Desiree, congratulations. We are thrilled for you. So well deserved. You could just tell by the pictures she was humbled and blown away. So that's awesome. Then also,
I would have my shirt half undone. I mean, woo!
No, he wouldn't. No, like you never drank at any of those things. You don't drink anyways. You're never the wild child. Please, woo! Gavel in hand. Okay,
well,
yeah.
Hayden Paget is your YNRF
national co-chair. Wanted to give him a shout out as well. So congratulations.
Off to DC he goes.
The Texas. Well, he'll be here, but he'll be there a lot.
That's not what his Facebook
He'll be there a lot.
Said.
No, he's still here.
It
his
said
wife is
moving
here.
to DC.
No, new job.
Okay, in DC.
Anyways, that's where the headquarters is for the National YRs.
Oh.
And then another member of the crew, he and his lovely fiance, who's a member of the crew, so Brad Namdar, who's been a guest co-host on our show, and his now wife, Pia Laura, got married Saturday evening. My husband and I were able to attend the wedding. It was beautiful. The reception was amazing. Wonderful food, great music, great friendship and fellowship. So blessings to y'all and congratulations. So just lots of stuff happening for the crew over the weekend.
Well, and so here's a great food question.
What is that?
Because I was running late this morning. So we
started JP's Kitchen.
Started JP's Kitchen.
So let's give a big old thumbs up and big props for you for getting back on that.
Did not gauge my time well. But so here's the big food question. Would you rather eat convention food at like an evening ball, or would you rather eat wedding food?
Wait, say that again now? At the convention
food, like at a ball, right? Like at a dinner, or wedding food. Is one better than the other?
Oh, well, now here's the thing. Here's the nachos in me. I can go
Don't
to
tell me you
any
stop off at 7-Eleven ahead of time.
No, I can go to any sports convention, like an American Airlines Center or something political. It's about the same. They're usually the same because they're held in like a big venue. I'm okay with. I can sit down and eat a bowl of nachos with jalapenos with the best of them. But like the food Saturday night at Brad and Pia's wedding, oh my goodness, we had filet, we had salmon, we had asparagus.
But was it
good? It was literally better than restaurant quality. It was amazing. It was actually, was it salmon or was it trout? Michael, help me. I think it was trout.
Would be way
I think it was trout because it had some kind of an apricot kind of
like
something.
An apricot mango habanero type.
No spices to it.
No spice.
But it was really good. And the steak was amazing. It was it was one of the
So
it
this
was one
is
of
easy.
by far the best just meals period that I had
None
had.
of us have ever said that about convention food.
Yeah, with convention food, you kind of know what you're in
Yeah,
for.
but I'm talking like the ball. You pay $150 for dinner, and you get
Oh,
rubber.
you're
chicken.
not talking about like when you're just going
No,
to
no,
up
I'm talking
up to
about when you
the.
sit down for a dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually that's Yardbird, and
But-
it's usually not that good. It's usually either overcooked or you've got potatoes and they're a little crispy when they shouldn't be or
Yeah.
something.
But it just goes to prove
Yeah.
that if it was a wedding, the food is better than if it was
I
a
think-
dinner at a but you're still
Yeah. I think at a convention, I just don't know that you're going to have the quality of food and expertise in the kitchen
but
that
it's
you
the
do.
same facility. So
Well-
for example,
Well, no. Now I would have to say if it's a hotel or a wedding venue, that's one thing. But if it's a big convention center,
no, at the hotel. I'm talking about like having your wedding in Addison,
Right.
At the Omni, right?
right?
Okay, because I've done both. I've had conventions and weddings at the Omni in Addison. The food at the wedding, and this was a wedding for 1,200 people.
Right.
The food at the wedding, and they had that, what's that big band that plays around here that's real famous?
Emerald City?
Emerald City.
Whose wedding was that? How
Lena
cool
Jane,
is Oh,
Bobby Jane's
how
daughter's wedding.
cool is that?
Right, and so we're
Emerald
talking
City rocks.
a huge wedding. The food was OMG.
But then
But I had a convention there.
and it wasn't.
The food was horrible.
Okay, so
I'm
here
like, help me out here, folks.
Again, probably it depends on the amount of money you spend.
Yeah.
If you've got out of this world food, you've got somebody out of this world cooking it in the back in
Because you
the
would think
back.
it'd be the same chefs.
But
I mean, you would
again,
think.
and even if it is, it's going to depend on the quality of food you get to cook.
So I think
Because
we
if
should-
you've got 19,000, pressed frozen chicken breasts, they're not going to taste the same as fresh trout.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's the same. I mean, again, that's why I said Lena's wedding was huge.
Yeah.
It was as big as, it was bigger
But
than
and you're
Lincoln
saying
Day dinner.
and that food was better than the convention.
better.
Yeah.
But at the
I think
same
it's how much you
hotel,
spend.
I ate at a
Political
function,
thing.
Food was horrible.
I think it's how much you spend.
Could be.
I mean, think about it. You and I have done Lincoln Day dinners forever, political fundraisers.
Right.
You don't want to spend an arm and a leg. Now, South Fork weekend before last, I thought the food was good. I thought it was good.
I didn't. Mine was.
Did you
cold.
get to eat it?
I just ate some bites.
See,
I was working.
mine was cold because I gave a speech before I presented that award before
Mine
I
was cold.
before I had a chance to do
My
that.
vegetables were overcooked.
Okay. See, mine was okay, but it was a little bit cold. I would have liked for a microwave. I was like, I should have told him to put keep the silver thing over it until I get back.
See, the next thing you would do is you just bring a travel microwave with us.
Oh yeah, there you go. The fun size.
And we
Yeah,
just put it on the chair next to
yeah,
us.
there you
Put
go.
the food in there.
Next year, note to self.
Next year.
Well, and so it's one of those things. You try to raise money at a political function. You try to save money, whereas at a wedding, once in a lifetime event. So sky's the limit, kind of
But
a
still,
thing.
I think pricing are still like between $35 and $50.
I
plate.
don't know. I guarantee you, the wedding I was at this weekend, that was more than $50 a plate. That
You'd
was
be surprised.
amazing.
You'd be surprised.
It was amazing.
Because
It was
mass
so good.
purchasing is so much cheaper, right?
It was
Maybe
it
not-
was
maybe not
really
during the
good.
pandemic. I don't know about that.
It was good.
But I've always thought that was interesting, right? So I think we should create like a whole new segment of the crew, like wedding weekend crashers. Or we could call them the wedding weekend crew. And we just go out and find weddings that are big, and we go eat.
And that's one of the funniest movies. Wedding Crashers,
Yes.
hilarious, just so funny. And nowadays, I wonder how easy it is to crash a wedding because people. Especially if you only know the bride or you only know the groom. Like in this case, I knew both of them. But if you only know one or the other, you wouldn't be suspicious of somebody you didn't know. Heck, 85% of the people there had never seen before.
Right.
You don't know.
You don't know. Well, I would get little cards made. Quality control. JP, Kathy, and the crew wedding. crew.
Inspectors.
Right.
Inspectors. Okay, and Dr. Good made a good point. She said a lot of time at a convention center, there's a sense of urgency to get that food out before the keynote speaker.
Well, let's go back to the hotels, though.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the hotels, like the Renaissance.
Well, no, she's saying because you've got a speaker, so it's more time sensitive. Like at a wedding, they carve out, here's your time to eat. Usually you're having to, I get what she's saying, that a lot of times the food gets rushed out. It's just not as good.
But the taste in them, I don't know.
Somebody help us out. I'm thinking it's money.
I'm going with wedding.
I'm thinking it's money.
I'm going with wedding.
Yeah, I think it's money, and however that goes.
going
Oh, and
with
Melissa
wedding.
said thank you for the prayers and for the shout out. So
There
we
you
love
go.
you, and hope your doctor's appointment goes very well today. We were talking about the Olympics, and I know you and Coach Quigley and I, you had some harsh words to say about the USA men's basketball
yeah, I'm pretty
team.
well done.
I mean,
they're
it
one
was-
of the saddest group of athletes
it
I've
was
ever met in
like-
my life.
It was like it was a chore. And again, I didn't watch the game. I saw some highlight reels here and there, and it looked like, I mean, basically it was like they were having to get, what is that, a cattle prod where you, it was like, it was such an effort for them. Give me a break.
Overpaid, narcissistic, woke, baby butts. Let me tell you something. There
it
is
was
only
just-
one dream team, and it was led by Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
That's what Dr. Clothier and I were
The
talking about
only
that.
dream
Yep,
team.
that's
There has never been another dream team out there.
and here's the thing: this team couldn't even be in the same orbit with that team.
No.
Well, all of those guys were out there, and it was so magical. It was glorious basketball to watch. But they were all so happy and so proud to be there. And they're like, USA's number one. And they're all excited. These guys were kind of like, ugh. I was like, if I see an eye roll come from one of those guys again,
Yeah.
it was crazy. Well, then you go to the 46-year-old gymnast. Now, now let's talk
eight-time
about somebody.
Olympian.
Yeah, 8 times at the Olympics.
You know she
This
never
is
grew
her
any taller, by the
retirement.
way? Did you know she never grew any taller?
Oh, was it? Cause how
you see
tall
how
is
short
she?
she was?
She's
God,
tiny. A lot of
like
gymnasts are
4'9",
okay. A lot of gymnasts
4'10".
are short.
I'm like, I'd have thought over 46 years
Well,
you'd have grown or something.
Simone, well, at a certain age you stop growing. Simone, she's like what 4'8" or 4'9".
Wow,
She's
small,
tiny too.
Their feet are only like that big.
A lot of gymnasts are small,
Have
but
you noticed that? Their feet are, I'm surprised they can land. Their feet are only
well,
like that big.
but it's in proportion to their body.
I don't know. Their thighs are like that big.
Well, that's solid muscle.
That's what I mean.
That's
though, but those
solid
little feet,
muscle.
Solid
They're
thighs.
they're
They
they're
figure
all
it out.
good. Yeah, so she has been to 8 Olympics.
8 Olympics.
And she is represented, I believe,
Multiple
I'd read that,
countries.
but she's only the second female gymnast to represent 3 countries, more than 2 countries in the Olympics.
Trivia. Do you know why she joined the German Olympic team?
Why is it? And let's get away. I want to make sure I've got her. Do you know how to say her last name? It's
No.
Oksana Chusavitinya.
I'm gonna let you run with that.
Chusavitinya?
I don't have my computer in front
Yeah,
of me,
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Okay, but
Anyways, we didn't mean to butcher it, but we're loving on you.
so she represented Germany
Right.
because of the life-saving surgery they performed on her son when he had childhood leukemia.
Oh, yeah, 'cause he's 22 now or something like that. He's a
Right.
young adult and doing very
And so
well.
She joined the German Olympic
Good
team
for her as a shout
as a
out.
thank you. Back to Germany.
That chokes me up.
Yeah,
I love
That's why I
that.
told you that. I figured they would get you all choked up.
I love that.
Yes.
And these are the Olympic moments you love. She finishes her routine. Everybody knows this is her retirement. She's 46 and she's hanging with these,
Youngins.
16, 17, 19, 21-year-olds.
And she still hit her vault.
She's amazing. And anyways, so she got a standing ovation from the crowd. That's the Olympic
From her-
spirit you
actually
like.
from her competitors.
Exactly.
Because there was no crowd,
Yeah,
remember?
yeah,
So, but from the
you know
other
what I mean.
teams,
From
though,
everybody else, she
yeah.
received a
and
standing
then all the
ovation.
girls wanted to take pictures with her.
And I thought, and I love it because the social media is flooded with pictures of her and all these other gymnasts. Huge smile. This is the Olympic spirit that you wish could resonate throughout the Olympics.
Right.
Do you know, JP, I heard a statistic this morning. There were only 17 million viewers with the opening, that watched the opening ceremony. I think it's like the lowest viewership of the opening ceremony since '88 when it was in Seoul back in the day.
I believe too much woke. I'm telling you, way too much woke.
It's interesting because my mom called and she was like, "Are y'all watching the opening ceremonies?" And there was a lady from Berkeley where CJ's at music camp right now, who played the piano, and I said, and I was like, "Oh, okay," told my mom thanks, and I looked at Michael and I said, I'll go find it on the internet after the fact.
I didn't watch the opening ceremony.
And I'm usually one of those.
I am too.
I used to be, me and the kids used to be there with American flags waving, when America comes on. Just don't feel the same because you've got too many people taking a knee, too many people rolling their eyes. Men's basketball team.
Well, I was going to say Megan Rapinoe kind of ruins the whole 8-time Olympian. But in speaking of that, though, I remember when NBC, you could purchase a package where you could buy 24 hours a day Olympic coverage. And I bought that so I could watch.
Any spare time you could have it on.
Right. I mean, Michael Johnson.
Have you even
Lewis
looked at anything?
I went on my computer and I watched skateboarding because I was curious because it's a first-time event out.
Right.
And so I was curious. I'm going to tell you, it's a beatdown.
Oh.
Let me tell you something. That is a
hard sport.
Highly competitive, hard sport.
Oh, I don't know how they do what they do with their
16,
bodies.
17-year-olds out there competing. Are you ready for this?
I don't know how they do
If you're not careful, you walk away with a first-run score of .46.
Yeah. I think of physics, and I'm like, how do they do that?
Well, then
it's amazing. It is amazing.
One dude, he comes off his board and he scissors.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, that's that.
It was no taco.
Brett's like that doesn't sound good.
Because I remember.
That'll leave a mark.
But
so that's all you've tuned in for?
No, I saw that and I watched some swimming.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see how Ledecky was going to do against the Australian.
And how
she lost. It was a silver medal.
Okay.
Very close race. Her second fastest time. It was a very fast run.
Okay, so it was a competitive.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like Mike Phelps, right? Michael Phelps can't be Superman his whole life, right?
Right.
I mean, at some point you age.
Yeah.
And,
tell that to the 46-year-old gymnast. No.
Right. Well, but Ledecky's hitting that point. I mean, these younger girls are coming up. She's still running fast. I mean, the heat was extremely fast. Not to beat her world record or Olympic record.
Okay. That's what I was going to say. Was
her second
close?
Fastest
it was
time behind her record. And so it's not for lack of effort, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking hundredths of a second.
That's what's crazy in swimming is literally you're watching that clock and it's .00001 that gets you,
Right. But for me, I thought, and I know what you're looking at me going, really skateboarding? Yeah, really skateboarding because Tony Hawk was my guy back in the day.
Huge,
and both
huge, made it huge,
got
popular,
to meet him when I was a kid.
Oh,
at a van
very
store.
Cool. Oh, at a van store.
Absolutely.
But of course, and that is so awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
I had a board when I was a kid, busted my lip, put my teeth through my lip. I mean, But the thing is that I wanted to watch it because, again, it was first time Olympic event.
Yep.
And I wanted to see how it was going to be judged and what kind of reaction. Of course, no crowd. Which is horrible because
some people are saying there's low viewership because there's no crowd. I think it has more to do with, well, for one thing, I think the time factor has something to do with it, but then also the time difference. But then I think it's the wokeness. I think that's what's turning a lot of folks off because even on social media, now I have some friends who are wholeheartedly watching it 110%. My mom's all over it. But then some people are like, I just won't tune in. And a lot of it has to do with the men's basketball team and the women's soccer team.
Right.
And that's
pretty sad.
That's a shame. Like Dr. Clothier was talking about, when did it stop being a good thing to represent your country in a sport that you love and that you're allowed to do because you're in this country?
What I've noticed in watching what I have watched.
Right.
In the sports where these folks are trying to be woke, I see a lack of competitive edge. Yeah. I also see a lack of the next gear.
Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, okay, Michael Phelps, right?
Yep.
4x100 relay, their team.
Right.
They were way down. They were losing the 4x100. And Michael Phelps' team took it to the next gear in that last leg to overcome a huge deficit and to win the 4x100.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it gives you goosebumps because you see them kick into that next gear. That gear you're not supposed to have,
that you somewhere, if you're an athlete, you're able to
find
pull
it.
from and you
That's
find
right.
it.
You
The
find it.
champion athletes
Right.
find it.
You go to the next
Yeah.
gear. Larry Bird.
Yep.
Larry Bird's back was in such bad shape. At the
Yeah,
Olympics.
knowing now what we knew about his back
I
back
mean,
then,
that guy was in
how did
way
he,
bad
How
shape.
did he do what he did?
Next level, next gear.
It just mind over matter.
That's right. And
yeah.
got out there and played the game.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Yep.
you know, I don't see that next gear is what I'm saying, right? They're out there playing, but I don't see their heart and their soul. Not all of them, because Ledecky, she left it all on the table when she was swimming. You know, I think the women's water polo team is doing fantastic. Another team that's leaving it on the table.
Yeah.
They're pulling all gears like they're supposed to be. One of the other sports I want to catch is the 3-on-3 basketball.
Oh, okay. When is that? Is that down?
I can't seem
okay.
to find it or catch it, but I want to see that. The women's team is doing fantastic. They're finding another gear.
Okay.
They need a player to step up. I can't remember the lady's name. She's from Dallas.
Oh.
And plays for the Dallas women's
Well,
team.
if you see something on that, send me a link. I'd watch
will.
that. Okay.
And she scored 8 points to win that game for the U.S. team.
Oh,
and so she
wow.
stepped up, went to the next gear. You know, and here's the thing, right? You see the hunger of the women's team,
Yep.
and you see the lackadaisicalness of the men's team.
It's
way
just so
underpaid,
obvious. Yeah,
way
overpaid.
overpaid.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And it just kind of it just makes you ill because again, they live in a country where because you can shoot an orange ball through a hoop that's kind of high in the air, you can make millions of dollars. Well,
Right.
be very appreciative of that fact that you get to go off and be a millionaire doing what you love. There are people who are in other countries who are working in a sweatshop hoping to get a shot at being on their Olympic basketball team, and they're making, dollars a day. So it just,
And
anyway.
then, of course, in golf news, we had 2 of our top golfers
Yes.
out
Yep.
because of COVID-19.
Yeah, that's been heartbreaking. I really do feel for the athletes who get there and they've done everything and they've been isolated, nobody's been around them, and then they test positive for COVID-19. That would just be so tough.
Well, DeChambeau is out, and I can't remember who our number 2 golfer is, but he's out because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
So, and then have a whole team have to step out and in volleyball.
Yeah.
And you win by a bye.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to win by a bye.
No, not at this level of athletics. This isn't, this isn't your 4th grade volleyball team kind of a thing. This isn't, these are people who they want the toughest competition because they truly want to be able to say, we were the best of the best.
Right.
And that's the way the Olympics should be. Speaking of best of the best, a Texas girl, Simone Biles, who I just love her. She did have, she said she feels like she's got the weight of the world on her shoulders, and she really does. I know she had an event last night. She stepped off the mat, so I know that will cost you, but her routine, the level of difficulty was so through the roof that it didn't cost her as much, and she should be able to compete in the all around, and hoping for a gold medal for her. She has that Olympic spirit, and you can tell she's proud to be there. I was gonna say, I wonder if it is a male-female thing, but no, because then when you've got old Megan on the soccer team who's not happy to be an American, go somewhere else. Go somewhere else and see if you can be who you are here in America.
Well, we have a long line of U.S. women gymnasts who have carried the team, right?
Yep.
And we always find out who they
Texas,
are. Yeah, Mary Lou Retton was one.
Natasha, who was
right here in Allen.
Yeah, that's the one. Who am I thinking of from Parker?
You just took it right out of my brain. I had her, and now she's gone.
Yeah, somebody help us out with that one.
And then Shannon.
Yep.
Did a great job. She was from Oklahoma.
But
Simone.
But
I know who you're talking about, but I can't. It's just
you know who I'm.
She's
yeah.
from Allen. Yeah, a gymnast in Allen. Yeah, I know. I can't remember her name.
But Simone Biles, and this will be her final
and
Olympics.
Allen High
She's
School's
24.
had a couple of them because I've got a Wheaties box signed by I can't remember the gal's name.
Oh, that's cool.
Who was in Dr. Nix's house office.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and she tried to be a singer afterwards. What is her name? God, I'm getting old. Forgetting all these gymnast names.
Oh, no, I'm not Lipinski. She was another gym. No, she was an ice skater. Who was it?
I don't know. But some other
this
news
is
in
making
the
me
Olympics,
crazy.
which is interesting. How about this? How about showing
I've gotta
up
look it up.
to the beach volleyball and you're not going to wear the required outfit because you don't believe that they should have to wear bikini bottoms and a sports bra on top. And that was a country that did that. They showed up in bike shorts. And
Interesting.
And the Olympic Committee had to get that worked out.
What happened? What ended up happening?
They ended up getting to play. I think they had to follow protocol and get dressed out. I'll have to look it up to follow up.
I'd
But
be
a small
anxious to see
country-
that. It seems like that's something you would take up with the Olympic Committee before the games if you
Right,
knew
no,
that
they
you.
showed up in their biker shorts.
Okay, interesting. It seems like you would be proactive and take care of that ahead of time. Maybe if it's a religious thing or a country
And I
thing,
think it
or
was
it's
a religious
it's
thing.
and I where I can completely understand that, but you would know that ahead of time.
Yeah, but that was the thing, though. They
Interesting.
weren't
Yeah,
gonna do
yeah, I'd love to see the follow up on that.
Yeah.
God, what was that? Oh my God, that's making me crazy. We had a big parade for her. She was a silver medal winner all around that year. Oh, doggone it! Somebody from the crew help us out. Cute
I don't
blonde
have my thing.
girl.
I don't have my thing on, so.
Oh,
Anyways, I know who you're talking about, but we've had 2 Allenites, and the other one was a gold medal winner. And again, in Dr. Nix's house office, and I don't remember, went to Allen High School. Nonetheless, as the Olympics continue to roll on, it's curious to see what wokeness is going to come out of the Olympics, how much of a protest is going to be allowed. What I loved about the skating part, the skateboarding part,
Right.
nobody protested. They just went out and had a
Everybody's
good time.
pumped.
Well,
Well,
everybody had
they're
a good
happy to be
time.
there. They're
Right.
appreciative to be there
They
to be
are.
a sport.
And
yeah.
they were enjoying it. I mean, and some of them were kids. 16,
Nastia
17.
Lukin.
Yeah, there you go.
That was going to make me crazy.
Now, who's the other lady? Who's the other lady who was in Talon High School and was a gold medal all-around winner? And they've even got her name on the
Nastia
city when you enter the city.
Lukens.
So
I'd
it's
have
going to be
see
interesting to
that.
see the wokeness. First,
Nastia Lukin. Okay, that
first
made me crazy.
time for a brother-sister to win a gold medal within an
Right.
hour of each other in judo. Japanese brother and sister, the Japanese sister, and of course, you know, Japan considers itself the home of judo.
Right.
Okay, like that's where it began, the history of it.
Okay.
And so she wins a gold medal. Then the brother turns around an hour later and wins a gold medal for
Now
Japan.
that's cool.
How cool is that?
Now that see, I love stories like
And
that.
they've
Now
had
that's
brother
cool.
sister tandems before, but never like that, where it was like
Boom, boom. That's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, goosebumps.
I
right?
love that. Now, see,
So
those
that's
are the
fun.
those are the moments you look for and you watch the Olympics for.
Yeah.
Not somebody. Do not shove political correctness down my throat. Don't tell me what your woke thoughts are, your cancel culture. If you're there for Team USA, doggone it, be
Be there for
proud.
right.
And be there for Team USA.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as we
Carly
continue-
Patterson.
There you go.
Thank you,
Carly
Cleo.
Patterson. Yeah, Carly Patterson.
Yes.
Yeah, and actually was a friend of our family's, and so I knew her sister as well.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
there you go,
liked her.
Carly Patterson too. So we have a rich history of women stepping up on the U.S. Olympic team.
Oh, and Nastia, she's an Olympics coach now. I did not know that.
I absolutely
Thank
could
you,
believe
Coach
that.
Quigley. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely cool.
Yeah.
So as we move
That's
forward,
awesome.
one of the other things I want to make note of is our clay shooting team.
Yes.
2 North Texans
Yep.
that are in the hunt for a gold medal. In fact, they may have won one. I don't know if that was last night
Shooting,
or during
hunt.
the day.
That's good.
Yeah.
Shooting and hunt. They're in the hunt for a gold medal.
Oh, you liked that?
Ba-dum-bum,
Ba-dum-bum,
yeah.
you liked it, okay. So, and then we had our men's team, 10, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken,
they all went
10
through Woga
meter,
gymnastics. You're right. Yeah.
10-meter air
Thanks,
pistol
Cleo.
gold medal.
Right.
We got one of those. And then a first female gold medal for the U.S. in fencing, or foiling, as they call
very
it.
cool.
Yeah. Beat
They don't
Russia.
call it fencing anymore?
Well, they do. It's part of fencing. It's just a
part of it?
right.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
And she won a gold medal as well, going to medical school, and her husband and daughter watched on.
And Fred Nort said the American gal who took gold in Taekwondo.
Oh,
that's
that's
right. First in U.S. history.
That's
so
right.
that's good
So
stuff.
good stuff going on
Yeah.
out there. It's not all wokeness. We have a lot of people that are just there just because they're there and they want to represent the United States and their
and
other
there's some,
countries.
there are some good folks who are there who are truly proud to be representing America. If you're not, you know what, pack it up and go home. You don't need a positive COVID test. Bust a move. You know what? I don't want to hear from you. Don't want to see you.
Right.
And I'm telling you, the men's basketball team, I won't watch them.
Right.
I won't put myself through that.
Yeah, I wanna see the
women's
3-on-3.
soccer, not going to watch it. You know,
me
and it's a
neither.
shame because there's got to be a few folks on each of those teams that are the ones that make you want to cheer for them, but the ones who are being woke are doing what a good athlete who knows there's no I in team they're stealing the spotlight
Right.
for their own personal gain, for their own narcissism, whatever the case may be, and that takes away from everybody else who's there to be part of a team.
Absolutely.
I
All right. Well, with that, it is time for us to head out the door.
Whew.
Have a great Monday. Hopefully, you had a great start to your week. Don't forget, share this out with your friends. Tell them about JP, Kathy, and the crew. Go sign up on our YouTube page and join us. We're going to start flooding YouTube
Yes.
with JP, Kathy, and the crew, and that's where we're going to be broadcasting from primarily.
Yep.
Share it to other entities, but we're going to primarily jump off of YouTube. So
Bounce from that. Is
there
that
you
a
go.
thing?
That's a
I don't-
thing. It
I
became a
don't
thing.
know.
It's just now a thing. It's a thing.
Now it's a thing.
Now it's a thing.
Hashtag it. I don't know.
Hashtag it. Have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day in Heart and Soul of Texas Women from 10 to 11 today. So we'll see you then. Love y'all.
Bye-bye.